Hello everyone, welcome to another Leetcode video. Today we're looking at the problem maximum number of operations to moves 1 to the end. This was question 3 in weekly contest 407. So the question reads that we are given a binary string named s. We can perform the following operation on the string in a number of times. So we're going to choose any index where index I is 1 and index I plus 1 is 0. Then what we can do is we can move that character at I, the 1, as far right as possible until it hits another 1. So for example, if we have 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, we would choose I equals 1. We'd move it all the way to the right until we can't move it any further. So our goal is to move all of the i's, all of the 1s to the end of this string. So we want to know the maximum number of operations that we can perform by doing this. So looking at this example here, we see that first we take index 0, we move it to the right. Then we would take index 4, move that to the right. And then we'd have a 1 here and a 1 here, so we could move those both to the right as well. So in total, we would do a maximum number of 4 operations to get all the 1s over to the right side. So let's look at an example a bit closer. So you may think of a couple different ways to approach this. So the way that I initially thought to do this was maybe to start at the last index and move it to the right. However, this actually gives us the minimum number of moves, which we do not want to do. So for example, if we started here, we would move to the right, we'd get 1 move, we take this one, move to the right, get 1 move, take this, move to the right, get 1 move. So we see that if we start from the right side, we actually get the minimum number, but we want the maximum here. So how can we figure out the maximum number of operations that we can perform? Well, let's switch our logic and start from the left, right? So if we move this first, right, we can move that over to here. So then our string becomes 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1. Sorry, this should be 0, not 1. So then the next move that we can make is this one here. So we're going to move this over. So 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. Then we can move this. This becomes, I'll draw it up here, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1. And finally, we can move this one again, and we'll have 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1. So you'll see that we actually have 4 moves, which is our answer. So one interesting thing that you'll notice is that we were able to move this first one 2 times, right? So we moved it in this first initial move here, and then we also moved it again at the end when we did this final move to move it back over. And this is because we're moving these later ones and opening up space for this one to move again, because there's now a 0 here. So how do we actually simulate this in code, right? Like, it's going to be pretty complicated to try to go forward and move those ones, then go back, find the next previous one that we can move. It'll become very complicated. It'll become like an O of n squared solution because we got to go back and forth for each one. So an easy way to do this is to kind of observe that when we see a 1, 0 that comes later in a string, we know that we're going to move this at some point, right? And this will actually open up moves for these previous ones, right? So for example, say we've already moved this up here and we have these 2 ones sitting here. When we move this one and move it to the end, we now have 0s that come after both of these 1s, right? So we know that since we had this 1, 0 pair happening later in the string, when we move it, that will open up moves for previous ones that we've seen. So what does that tell us? Well, if we know the total number of pairs, right, and here we have 2 pairs, right, 1 here and 1 here, we can kind of use that to back into this answer. So let's say we have 2 pairs. So when we hit a 1, 0 pair, what we want to do is we want to say, I'm going to subtract 1, then what we can do is say, to our answer, I want to add 1, right? Because we've seen a pair that we're going to move plus the total number of pairs. Total pairs, right? And remember, we just decremented total pairs. So we're not dealing with 2 pairs anymore. We're dealing with 1 pair. And what this is basically saying is that move this now, but then later what's going to happen is we have 1 other pair here that we can use to move this 1 again. So we're going to say we're going to add whatever we're doing right now plus whatever we're going to be able to do in the future from subsequent moves. So then what happens if we hit, say, this case? So here it's not a 1-0 pair, so we don't want to decrement, right? Because we're not using up one of the pairs, we're just seeing a 1. And as it looks now, we can't move this, but we know that there's going to be a pair in the future, right, that is going to let us move this 1 again. So this is the case when we have 1-0. When we have just a 1, we're just going to add total pairs onto our answer, right? So, and we're doing this because we're not getting rid of a pair, but we know that we're going to be able to move this 1 total pairs number of times in the future once we do subsequent moves. So if we continue down this path, we'll see we'll move this 1 time. Then what we do is we're going to get to here, right? So again, we have 1 pair left, which is the current pair we're on. So we decrement this. This becomes 0. We have 0 pairs left, but we're going to add this 1 plus total pairs. So overall, we're going to do that 1 plus 1 for the first pair is 2. Then we're going to do 1 for this singular 1. And then again, we're going to do 1 for this pair, which gives us a total number of 4. So this whole thing takes O of n time, right? Because what we're doing is we're going to go through the string 1 time. We're going to count up all the pairs that we have. Then we're going to go through again just to do these operations and get our answer. So let's hop over to the code and see how this works. So the first thing we do is start this variable total pairs. So this is going to be just the number of pairs that we have in the entire string. So now we're going to iterate through the string up until the second to last index. And if we see this pair in there, we're just going to increment our total pairs by 1. So then we're going to start max moves. This is the total number of possible moves that we can make. So again, iterate through the string. If we ever see a 1-0 pair, what we can do is decrement our total pairs by 1 because we're using up that pair right now. But then to our max moves, we're going to add 1 because we're moving that 1 plus whatever total number of pairs occurs in the future. In the other case, if we have just a 1 in the spot, we're not using up a pair, so we're just going to add the total pairs to our maximum moves. And then at the end, we return whatever the max moves value is. So let's submit and make sure that it works. And it does work. So hopefully this was helpful, and thank you for watching.